All right. It's 6:30. I hereby call this meeting to order. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. We'll observe a moment of silence. Thank you. Announcements, awards, special recognition. I want to be sure and mention that the Peachtree City Fire Department is hosting their annual pumpkin sale. So I hope everybody will stop by Station 81 on Pascal Road and support our fire department. Public comment?
We have none.
Agenda changes, council?
None.
Minutes, September 21st, 2023 regular meeting minutes, September 21st, 2023 executive session minutes.
Mayor, I move that we approve the September 21st, 2023 regular meeting minutes and the September 21st, 2023 executive session minutes.
A second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Consent agenda items. A, Huddleston Road Sewer Road Improvement and Cart Path Project Agreement, Peachtree City, Wausau. B, Stormwater Maintenance Agreement, Peachtree City Orthodontics, 101 Gates Entry. C, Stormwater Maintenance Agreement, Peachtree Cardiology, 100 McWilliams Drive. D, 118 Lexington Pass Pipe Replacement. E, 211 Van Ness Pipe Replacement. And F, consider appointment to the Convention and Visitors Bureau Board. Can I get a motion?
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion that we accept the consent agenda.
Approve
The consent agenda A through F as read. Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Before we go on, I want to thank Joe Campbell. Is he here tonight? Joe Campbell, would you please stand up? Joe has decided to volunteer his service on our Convention and Visitors Bureau. Please join me in thanking him. Old agenda items, we have none. New agenda items, we have none. Public hearings, 10-2301, new alcohol license, Linda Nails Salon, 100 North Peachtree Parkway, Suite 36. Jasmine.
Yes. I'll read the protocol for non-zoning matters. When the public hearing is open, members of the council will become hearers. No action on their part is in order until the mayor declares the hearing complete. First, city staff will present the item. The mayor will then allow a total of 10 minutes for the members of the public to comment. No individual member of the public will be given more than 5 minutes to speak. Time limits may only be extended by a majority vote of council. Prior to closing the public hearing, city staff and the public will be given the opportunity to ask questions. When the mayor is assured that input is complete, the public hearing shall be ended and council may then debate the issue and render a decision. All speakers from the public are asked to follow these rules. 1, please wait to be recognized by the mayor. 2, come to the microphone and state your name and neighborhood prior to making remarks. 3, keep individual remarks under 5 minutes, and please do not repeat others' comments. And 4, address all comments to the mayor. Thank you. Mayor and council, this is a new alcohol license for the property located at 1000 North Peachtree Parkway, Suite 36, also known as Linda's Nail Salon. It's very typical for businesses of this type to offer sort of a hospitality drink while they're receiving services. And this owner, as well as the location, meet all of the requirements for a new alcohol license.
All right, thank you. At this time, I'll open the public hearing. Is there anybody who wishes to speak in favor? Seeing none, is there anyone who wishes to speak in opposition? Seeing none, I hereby close the public hearing. Council?
I just have one question, Madam Mayor. I heard the city clerk say it was 1,000 north. Is it 100 north?
I apologize, 100 North.
It is 100. Okay, thank you.
No issues.
No issues?
No issues.
Can I get a motion?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we accept the new agenda item 10-2301, the new alcohol license for Linda Nail Salon at 100 North Peachtree Parkway, Suite 36.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. 102302, public hearing. Variance request for 270 Parkade Court to encroach into rear setback.
Now I'll read the zoning matters protocol. When the public hearing is opened, members of council will become hearers. No action on their part is in order until the mayor declares the hearing complete. First, city staff will present the request and provide an assessment of compliance with city code. The mayor will then allow up to 10 minutes for speakers on each side of the issue to present evidence. No individual member of the public will be given more than 5 minutes to speak. Time limits may only be extended by a majority vote of council and will be divided equally between those supporting and those opposing the issue. The mayor will recognize the applicant and those supporting the issue to present evidence. Remarks will be limited to a total of 10 minutes. The mayor will then recognize those opposing the issue to present evidence for up to 10 minutes. Prior to closing the public hearing, city staff and the public will be given the opportunity to ask questions of both or either sides of the issue. When the mayor and council are assured that the presentation of evidence is complete, the public hearing shall be ended, and council may then debate the issue and render a decision. All speakers from the public are asked to follow these rules. 1, please wait to be recognized by the mayor. 2, come to the microphone and state your name and neighborhood prior to making remarks. 3, keep individual remarks under 5 minutes and do not repeat comments. And 4, address all comments to the mayor. Thank you.
And before we start our staff presentation, I'll mention that we are in the process of putting in new audiovisual equipment and new cameras. So for today, the microphone areas, both, including the podium, are not on camera. So we'll have our staff presentation right where you are.
Great, thank you. So 270 Parkade Court is located in the industrial park of Peachtree City. You can see down here, we're down on the south side. It's on the Flat Creek side of the, there's Flat Creek side of the industrial park. You can see here it's highlighted in yellow, and there is an existing building on the property, and that is where they are asking for a rear setback encroachment of about 25 feet. That says 24.6 feet into the required 50-foot rear setback. So just to orient you, this is the building there. The dashed line is the setback requirement. Now they have an existing uncovered concrete pad in the back. That is permitted because it's not considered a structure. But what they'd like to do is cover about half of it with a steel roof structure. And as soon as you add a roof to something, it becomes a structure and it has to meet the setback requirements. They are proposing this for outdoor storage and materials handling. And should the City Council approve the variance, there are no staff recommended conditions. I do believe the applicant is here tonight to answer your questions.
All right. Does the applicant want to make any comments before we get started? No, the answer is no. All right, thank you. With that, I'll open the public hearing. Can I have a show of hands of anyone who wishes to speak in favor? Can I have a show of hands who will wish to speak in opposition? All right, at this time, I'm going to open the public hearing. Is there anyone who wishes to speak? At this time, seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Council? Well, that went well.
Well, you know, having seen this spot, I have no objections to the 25-foot setback rule, or for the cover, because it's going to be forklift related. The company needs the space, and it needs to be covered for whatever materials that you have. The visibility from Panasonic, which is just to its north, even with this, is still not going to be able to see it because of the woods. And for that reason, I really like to do what we can to keep businesses here and keep them happy.
Robin?
Yes, sir.
Do we have any of the neighbors that have, Panasonic behind them? Have they commented one way or the other?
They have not.
Were they asked?
Staff doesn't do that, and
I know
so maybe the applicant can come up here and answer that.
If you could introduce yourself, please.
I'm Steve Carroll, I'm representing Lewis General Contractors. We're the GC for Integrity Fusion. And so, we sent a letter to Panasonic, but there's no one local that has that power to make any decisions. It's all corporate, it's coming out of Asia. So, to be honest with you, nothing, feedback from them, pro or con. I second what Mike said. It's kind of, there's a big,
It's a huge wooded area.
huge buffer that that nothing will get developed there because it's kind of like a green belt anyway with a valley there. So,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Any other questions, Mr. DiStadio?
No, ma'am. No other questions. Let me make a comment, though, if you don't mind.
Of course.
So I guess there's no other way you can move this because it's an existing concrete pad. So you're planning on putting it on top of the existing concrete pad?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Mr. Holland?
I think that everyone knows that I don't like to break the rules and set precedences, although I am very much in favor of industrial growth and industrial expansion in our city. I just, why do we have rules and ordinances if we constantly break them? So I don't want to set a precedent by giving these people a large variance. If it was a foot or two, I might be, looking at that. But a large variance of almost 50% seems to be a little bit too much. Can they do something on the side of the buildings, or can they do it in a different spot within there? Right now, they're doing it there because there's a concrete pad. You can put a concrete pad almost anywhere and put this up. So with that, and also we haven't heard anything from Panasonic, which surprised me, but you might be right, sir. It just may not have, may not be in their power to give you some type of approval or disapproval. So with that in mind, to not make a new precedent for myself and for this council, or at least for me on this council, I'm not in favor of this.
Thank you. In my opinion, we can't just give lip service to supporting our industries. I support this 100% if this is what the business needs. Mr. DiStadio, where are you on this?
I feel a lot like what Councilman Holland feels. We shouldn't just dole out variances, but on the same token, this is an existing pad, and it's pretty well buffered anyway. And like Mike has said, I think we need to support the industrial base as much as we can, so I would be in favor of this. Normally, I would say no that large a variance, but I think that where it's located, they'd have to build a pad somewhere else and then put the building on top of that.
Yeah.
So I would say, yes, I would approve this.
Okay. Can I get a motion?
I'd make a motion, Madam Mayor, that we approve item, a variance request 10-2302, request for a 270 Parkdale Court to encroach into rear setback.
I would second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
Motion carries 3-1. Thank you. Public hearing C, 102303, variance request for 319 Sandelin to encroach into rear setback.
Yes, ma'am. This property is in subdivision on the north side of the city, located here. It's in a cul-de-sac. Normally, this request would be an administrative variance, but an administrative variance requires letters of support from all neighbors, and there was one neighbor they were not able to get that letter from, and so their only option is to come forward through the full variance process. They are asking to encroach 1.5 feet into the 30-foot rear setback in order to rebuild an existing deck. Just a little bit of history, permitting history. The deck was built back in the 80s or 90s on this property. I think it was 80s on this one. And at some point at that time, the International Building Code and therefore the city did not require building permits, and so this was constructed without a permit because they didn't need one at the time. They did come in for a permit now, and that's when we caught this encroachment and made them aware that they had to get a variance in order to proceed. So they would like to rebuild that deck. There has been a previous variance granted for the sunroom on this property, which is shown here in sort of this speckled area. However, the variance that was granted was very clear, the motion was very clear that it was only for the sunroom. And so that is why we're going through this variance process tonight. Again, if the city council approves this variance, staff does not have any recommendations for conditions.
Thank you. Do you know if the applicant is here to add any comments?
They are, yes, ma'am.
And would you like to add any comments? If you would take the microphone and start by introducing yourself.
How you doing? My name's Rodney Strong. This is my wife Annette. And the variance is actually, it's not a sunroom, that's a patio.
And speak right up to that microphone for me.
The variance is for the deck, and it's actually 1 foot 2 inches that only, with circling red, that actually goes across the setback. And it doesn't go, all of it's not in the setbacks, just that little corner in the black. And the original variance was, I guess, where you see the dotted line, it was like 6 inches into the setback where we added our office about 25 years ago. So, you got anything you want to say?
Yeah, we're not going any further back.
Microphone for me. Thank you.
We're not going any further back. We're just going to rebuild where it is.
Wherever it is.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
At this time, I'll open the public hearing. I'd like to see a show of hands of those who wish to speak in favor. I'd like to see a show of hands of those who wish to speak in opposition. At this time, I'll open the public hearing. Is there anyone who wishes to speak? Seeing none, I hereby close the public hearing. Council?
Can I, excuse me, is there anyone that can explain to me why one of the neighbors is not willing to give us I guess I'm looking for a reason why that neighbor didn't want to sign up for this.
You didn't ask.
You didn't ask?
Didn't ask is what was
That
said.
was not, the property.
I'm sorry, ma'am.
everybody-
Thank you.
I'm sorry. Everyone in the back of us where the deck is, we have signatures from them.
And the one that we didn't act is on the other side of the driveway. The one that's closest to the deck, they're signed. We have two people,
It would be
two
that
neighbors
property.
behind us. They
It
both
would be
signed.
that property there. It would be 120 or whatever it is?
Right.
320.
Yeah, we did
320,
ask them.
okay.
Thank you.
I guess you're not friends with that person. I mean, it would seem to me that you would at least ask him if you wanted to get the whole neighborhood or the whole area, but I understand you didn't want to ask him. That's your choice. 1 foot, 2 inches of the 30-foot setback.
So the question is to rebuild a deck that encroaches 1 feet 2 inches into the 30-foot setback, rebuild. And that's where it was before.
Yes, ma'am.
And it was discovered as part of the sunroom project.
As part of the permitting they actually came in for the building permit for the deck as it's required, which is nice to see because there are a lot of people who built decks and would catch them afterwards. But they came in proactively, and that's when staff found this. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Council?
Got anything else, Frank?
No.
I have a couple questions, Madam Mayor.
Sure.
You want to go?
I'll follow you.
Okay. Taking a look at the drawings and things, does the structure need to be over that setback line, or is it possible to put it in as an angle, and it would make an interesting design for that construction to keep everything, the 1 foot, 2 inch back a little bit so that it stays within the setback? I mean, I'm sure the good engineers and construction people can turn that a little bit and just make it so that it stays within the setback.
Well, that's a deck, it's
We're
a
trying
part
to-
of the house.
we're trying to
Okay.
keep a straight line.
But you're going to be replacing that, did I hear it correctly?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, we're gonna be replacing it, yes, but, we're just replacing it like it is, because they're, we can't turn it. I mean,
No,
maybe
but
I
when
don't
you-
understand
when-
what you're asking.
I guess when you demolition this to put in the new deck, when you rebuild it, you just turn some of the 2x4s that are to make sure that they're within the setbacks.
Then that make one side of the deck small.
Yeah, by 1 foot.
Well, we're trying to keep it symmetrical for starters. And to cut it off like that, it'll look worse than it being a foot, 2 inches
It wouldn't,
into the setback.
aesthetically, it wouldn't look right.
I mean,
We're trying to, we have pictures of it.
yeah, I drew some pictures so you can kind of see how the deck looks now and reference if you would like to see them.
No, I don't think that's necessary. I'm also going to echo what Councilman DiStadio said, that not having one of the people sign off on this, it ends up coming in front of us, and when that happens, I question what is the reason why, and I now find out you've never asked them. Is there any reason why we can't ask those people so that you can get a full compliance of all your neighbors?
Okay, the reason we didn't ask the neighbor.
You can bring that microphone down. There you go.
Thank you.
The reason we did not ask the neighbor on that side was because we had a permit for a fence because we had a property dispute, and we had to have our property surveyed twice, and we had put up a fence there, so she was not really friendly with us about us putting up the fence. So she didn't want us to put up the fence, so we didn't want to be bothered and have an argument with her about anything else because this was not on her side of the property.
Jasmine, can I see those drawings?
We're the original owner of this house. We've been here over 30 years, and everything we get done to our home, we have it permitted and do the right
One
thing.
on the back.
Thank you.
Mike, did you want to go ahead and go?
I happen to be, I did talk to your neighbors at 320. And I have this thing about, for my years on council, is that when we ask for a variance like this, I'd like to hear from each of the neighbors.
Okay.
And it disturbs me that you didn't ask them, to be honest with you. And they cited some things that has happened in the past, and I'm not going to get into who shot John and that sort of stuff, but I have to say that that there's just some angst going on, and right now I'm not in favor of approving this.
I think the fact that the sunroom's already there, it's been there for years, and when you look at how that sunroom encroaches into the setback, the rear setback, to imagine that 1 foot 2 inches on the adjacent deck would be some kind of an affront to anyone is beyond anything that I can find reasonable. The sunroom's already there. I support you in wanting to build a new deck where the old deck is. That one's already been there. We haven't heard complaints from the neighbors over, the many years about a deck that's already there, and now they just want to replace a deck that's already there with the same thing. I can't imagine, looking at that drawing, that would be an assault on any neighbors, given the way it's already laid out. It's already there. I'm usually a terrible stickler for variances. I very rarely grant a variance, but it's already there. Whatever the case may be between two neighbors, I watch Judge Judy every day. Whatever the case may be between two neighbors who had a disagreement over a fence, who knows, years ago, life happens. That's the way it is sometimes. That doesn't mean they shouldn't be able to replace an existing deck with a same deck. Anybody back me on that?
Normally, I'd say yes. I'd like to, could they come up and explain the drawing to me? The picture?
Let me see the drawings, hold on.
I don't see where the existing deck is encroached. I see the existing
Here's
deck.
the deck.
Yeah.
This is the deck, correct? It's
That's
got
correct.
steps and,
Yes.
and a deck. It's not
Where-
large,
where-
it's not imposing.
Where the steps are, that's not in the setback.
Understood.
Right.
Just a little
It's just a
corner.
little corner.
That corner, that corner back there, 1 foot, is in the setback. It's been like that all along. You want to tell them they can't build it again to replace it and make it new?
Can I make a suggestion here, Madam Mayor? That maybe
listening.
we postpone this decision until the Strongs get a response from the next-door neighbor of approval, maybe to sit down and maybe get that, and then come in.
Mr.
with
Holland,
that.
the approval from that last neighbor is not coming. It's not coming.
You know that.
It is not coming. Sir, do you want to argue with me?
No.
It's not coming. So this is what we have here today. This is the situation. We have 4 out of 5 neighbors, is that what it was? Who have signed an agreement that this is no problem. That tells me that 1 neighbor out of 5 objects to replacing an existing deck with another same that's 1 foot into a setback. My goodness.
You can make that argument all you want, Madam Mayor, but you know that we have laws and regulations and setbacks and all of those kinds of things for a reason. And I don't, as you know, I'm like you too. I don't like variances, period. And here's another one where we're being asked to make changes on things and we still don't have all of the people in agreement in the neighborhood. I'm in favor of denying this request.
Mr. King, any further comments?
No, ma'am?
Mr. DeStadio?
Oh, I've heard enough.
So what is the ramification if we have a denial? They have to rip it out?
I would say they could leave it as it is. Let me finish. And council will change in 3 months, and you may get a vote. But right now, if we vote, I think it's going to fail.
So as far as the existing deck that was built when permits were not required, Ted, if they don't get this variance, does that mean that they have to take down the encroachment of the existing
I
deck?
know councils in the past have done that, but it's up to council.
Outrageous. Absolutely outrageous. This deck has been
The
here
deck is
all along.
old.
Now, I understand.
They want to make an improvement to their property.
Exactly.
I mean, you could make an argument that it's grandfathered where it's at right now. But the problem is it didn't comply with the setbacks back when it was built, I'm assuming.
Right.
Yeah, because there were no permit required. There was no permit required, so therefore it wasn't discovered. Yeah, I get it. I understand the problem.
We could ask the applicant to withdraw their request.
That would then not put them in jeopardy of having to wait 6 months.
If the applicant wishes to I'm beat, and I'm sorry. If the applicant wishes to withdraw your request, we can try again when we have a new council in January.
Actually, you could bring it back in next month because there's no decision made.
Mr. King is right. You could bring it back another time when we have a full council.
My understanding from what Robin said, if and when the next door neighbor would okay,
I think,
then it would fall under the administrative variance process.
Sure.
It would.
Sure,
Yes.
if
And
that
I'm
were to
not
happen.
saying that's a viable option, I'm just saying that is,
I understand.
from a legal standpoint, an option.
I know. This would not even have come to council if we had that extra letter. It would have been an administrative variance. If you would like to withdraw your request, it can be resubmitted in the near future.
so if we have the same council, we'll be here again with the same.
We are missing a council member, well, yeah, that's right.
Well, and you won't have the same council because we have term limits.
Well,
No, we're talking about next
Oh,
meeting.
I'm sorry.
But we have 3 people who don't want to let them replace their deck. So we'd be looking at January and a new council, and you can try again if you wish to withdraw your request tonight.
So can I ask, did you, Mr. King, did you speak with the rest of the neighbors?
Yes, I did.
And then they were in favor of it?
They were not in favor of it.
Not one neighbor, all the other neighbors that signed. Did you?
I understand they, but understand where I'm coming from.
Don't
I,
understand where you're coming from.
if 4 of them are in favor, I mean, I understand that. But if one's against, I need to know their feelings, and it's their quality of life, and it's.
It's not even on their side of the property.
Okay.
But
Would you-
Madam, I understand where you're coming from, but their elevation is higher than your lot, and they're looking right down onto it.
The deck is already there.
I know the deck is there.
All right. Would you like to withdraw your application, and then you have the opportunity to try again in January?
So we have to pay for another variance?
We can work with them.
We can work with you.
I still feel you've been unfair. I really do. Because
And it doesn't make sense.
we've been there 31 years. We get permits every time we do something at our
And
home.
we have the deck already there. So any objection to that is just ludicrous. But anyway, whatever we need to do.
If
And
you have 2 options. If you want to let this go to a vote, it'll be 1 in favor and 3 against you. If you'd
Okay.
like to not let it go to a vote, you can withdraw your application, and we'll try again in January when we have 2 new council members.
We withdraw.
You withdraw. I hear you. So noted. Thank you. Public hearing, 102304, variance request for 140 Tamar Lane to encroach into rear setback.
Yes, ma'am. This was actually caught by our code enforcement. It is again, a cul-de-sac lot that is on the south side of the neighborhood. It backs up to one of our local golf courses, Braylon. And it was discovered that they were building a structure on the back of their house without building permits. A stop work order was issued, and when they came in for the permits, this is the site plan that they submitted. It is a 28-foot encroachment into the required 30-foot rear setback. They would like to get the variance in order to keep the structure that they have built. There was a previous variance granted when this house was originally constructed because it does encroach into the rear setback, the whole part of it does. So no structure is permitted on the back of this house without some type of variance. They do have letters of support from some of their neighbors, not the golf course. And in this case, given the amount of work that was done, if you do approve the variance, staff recommends a condition of requiring what's called an as-built survey, so we can get specific measurements of where the structure and footings are located. The applicant has provided us with some photos. What they have, so this is the back of their house. They've got a covered structure here, and then a fieldstone covered patio. The structure is attached directly to their house. It extends, some points are in the cement, some points are not. This tree line that you sort of see here is actually the golf course property. The applicant is here tonight to answer any kinds of questions that you may have.
Thank you. I invite the applicant to take the microphone.
Good evening, my name is Jihad Hajj, and I'm at 140 Tamar Lane. As we bought the house in 2004, we've been there for nearly 20 years. The picture that she was showing where the buffer zone, actually that we were told that was part of the property. We maintained the shrubs, we planted half of the shrubs that they're already there. The golf course does not maintain, nor does anything to do with the shrubs behind. The concrete pad was already there. We did not have any variance since we moved to the house. Whatever was built there. We did not build anything on the backside. And if you look on the right side where it says 6 foot over there, when they built in-ground pool and they had a fence, and what it shows from the survey that we did, that the fence is encroaching only 3 feet to the property.
And whatever we build in the canopy right now, or the deck outside, it's 6 feet inside the fence line.
Which is why the as-built survey is something that we would like to see.
All right, thank you. Any further
And
comments?
also, we had 2 letters from the neighbor, the both side of the house, on either side of the house, and it was submitted with the application, and none of them has any objection, and actually, one was a very nice letter. Both of them actually were a nice letter, so we have no issue with either neighbor either anyway. And last thing is, all the shrubs, that's really is covering it, even if you're on the golf course, that you don't see it from the golf course side. I mean, it's already been covered with all the shrubs, and those shrubs have been there for 30 years probably.
Thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, I'd like a show of hands to see who wishes to speak in favor. Show of hands to see who wishes to speak in opposition. At this time, I'll open the public hearing. I'd like to hear from anybody who wishes to speak in favor. Hearing none, I'd like to hear from anybody who wishes to speak in opposition. Please.
You know, my sympathies go out to you for starting a project like this.
Could you introduce yourself?
I'm sorry, Suzanne Brown. I live in Crescent Oak. My sympathies go out to you for starting a project like this without having the proper variances or whatever approved prior to doing it. And it certainly makes the issue of telling you to tear this down really hard. But I think that that's what council really needs to do. 28 feet into a 30-foot setback is kind of beyond the tolerable level. And I just don't see any way that you're going to be able to figure out how to approve this just because they started it. Obviously, there's a cease and desist order. It just echoes to the rest of Peachtree City residents. You have to get a building permit before you do something like this. So I think that it needs to be denied. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else wish to speak? I hereby close the public hearing. Council? Mr. King?
I don't have any comments.
Oh, I know, it's got to make the view from the golf course a lot better, but I do have issues with the buildings and stuff that have been built without a permit, and that concerns me. But I kind of have to echo 26 feet into this thing is a little bit much.
Quite a bit. Yep.
Mr. Howard?
The 800-pound gorilla in this is the golf course. I would love to see at least a nod from the golf course that it would be applicable, that, yeah, no problem, you can go ahead right up close to the property line and build your deck and whatever the structure is. But again, going so deep into the setback, you know, we just went through one that was 1 foot 1 inch or 2 inch. Now we've got one that's 28 feet into the setback. As you heard me talk about these before, I don't like to set precedences in giving approvals on variances. So in that respect, because it's going so deep into it, there's no one else, like the golf course is not approved, I'm not in favor of this.
Mr. DiStadio?
I would agree. I think we need to stay away from the deep variance. So I would agree.
All right. With that, council, I'll take a motion.
Go ahead, Clint.
I'll do it if I can find that sheet. Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to deny variance 10-2304, variance request for 140 Tamerlane to encroach in the rear setback.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor of the denial, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The denial carries. I'm sorry. Council staff topics. Discussion of sewer accessibility to the 7-acre tract south of Stars Mill School Complex. We have a property owner south of the Stars Mill School Complex who owns a 7-acre tract, and they would like to have sewer run outside city limits, in fact, beyond the school complex to their tract. Wausau is not at liberty to run sewer outside city limits without a decision by City Council of Peachtree City, and that's in accordance with the bond documents. Any council positions on the matter? Council direction? Mr. King?
First off, we've had this debate in here on other items. The decision for sewer to go outside the city limits is with the council, then it goes to Wausau for permission, whatever. And right now, I don't see a benefit for this, because if we do provide sewer here, we're setting precedent.
Yes.
And the only way that at least I would consider it for approval is if we had those neighborhoods along Redwine and so forth that are not in the city, that are currently on sewer as well, but you have to take into the fact that you're going to, if you sewer this, you're going to have to take in, or if you annex it, you're going to have to take in Stars Mill School Complex as well. So it's a bigger issue than it seems. So with that, I would have to say I would be against it.
I'd like to echo what Councilman King said. I agree, setting a precedence again outside of the city is not something we should be doing. Now, if we're able to do maybe an annexation plan in 2024, if it comes up again, and it does get accepted in, then it's a different story. But right now, they're not within the city, and for that reason, I don't want to set a precedent of bringing people in who are not in the city, so therefore, I would be against this.
Mr. DiStadio?
Yes, I agree with what Mike has already said. I mean, this was part of the bond where we've already been attempted to be sued because of different things that have gone out. I don't think we should do anything that would jeopardize the bond in any other situation with Wausau. So I would be against trying to do this just for this one applicant.
Thank you. Without annexing, it sets a precedent of running city sewer outside the borders of our city limits, and other property owners on 3 sides of Peachtree City would love to see that happen, but it would be disadvantageous for the city and for Wausau. So for that reason, I also am against it. So council direction has been made very clear. Any other questions or last comments?
No, ma'am.
All right, do we have any other council staff topics?
No, ma'am. Not for me.
No, ma'am.
Mr. Kernow?
No, I don't.
No. Do we have executive session?
We do not.
Oh,
May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? We stand adjourned.